All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm back in action with another look at another movie to review. Now, this particular movie is one of those movies that just spells out bad. Okay, let me tell you something. We like to complain about certain genres. Romantic comedies have lost their luster. Remakes, reboots, sequels, and prequels get complaints the very moment they're announced. But we forget that there were some other versions of other genres of movies that people have forgotten about. And one of those versions is the foreign ripoff. Okay? This is a movie that is literally inspired by another movie, only it'll have a lot more nudity in it, hence the term Eurosleaze, and it'll have a lot of other things against it. Bad acting, nonsensical plot, a decent effort, but really it falls apart in the end. It's kind of like how with Star Wars, well, somebody made Star Crash, and if you haven't seen my review of that yet, you should check it out. It's actually a pretty bad movie to review and all that. But with Star Crash, it's so bad that it's good. With Patrick Still Lives, it's so bad that it's bad. Okay, it's just really bad. Now, Patrick, for those of you who may not know, came out around 1978, rated PG, about a guy who was comatose. But he had the ability to either mind control or telepathy or telekinesis, right? I'll admit I haven't seen the first Patrick movie yet. I've seen practically all the other movies, all two of them, I should say. The remake done in Australia, I might add. Patrick, if memory serves, is an Australian-made movie. Basically, in Patrick Evil Awakens, that was done in Australia. I know that at least, and that was considered the actual reboot. Now, some people will tell you that Patrick Still Lives is the unofficial sequel. Let's set the record straight right now. Patrick Still Lives is a foreign ripoff, plain and simple. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, in the beginning of the movie itself, it has Patrick and his father on the road. Their car has broken down. They're trying to fix it. Somebody drives by, throws a water bottle, and it just catches Patrick square in the face. So now they got to operate on him to at least try to save his life, because apparently that was either the hardest water bottle ever known to man or something about it. Okay, now I'm not a doctor. I can't comment on the, dangers of water bottles being chucked at people, but that's what happened in the beginning of this movie. Now let me tell you something. Any other hack of a director, like a Spielberg or a Scorsese or, one of those other minor directors, J.J. Abrams, they would have given a good 2 to 3 solid minutes to establish shot, location, character, names at least, okay? But not this movie. Oh no, we don't need all that extra garbage. We just need 30 seconds, literally 30 seconds to establish what was going on, okay? And to see the father try to come to Patrick's aid. The father, luckily, boy, what are the odds? The father was a neurosurgeon who was able to save Patrick's life, but of course he's comatose from now on. So the father, in whatever time it took, they really didn't explain that part very well, but that's the theme of this movie. You will notice that it's not explained very well is something I'm going to be saying a lot in this review. So the father somehow, we fast forward to the future, I'm assuming, not decades in the future, just a few years in the future, where all of a sudden these 5 people show up. Now, the 5 people, there's 2 couples, one's a drug dealer and his wife. It was the 1970s. I know this movie came out in 1980. That means it was filmed in the 70s. It still had the 70s mentality. So you can always expect me to have, the Gilligan's Island reference, the millionaire and his wife, to say those words. Very common. You have a drug dealer and his wife. You have a politician and his wife. And you have this hunk guy show up, okay? All to come to this villa for a vacation, for relaxation. And enjoy these few moments, because these are the few moments where the women are actually wearing clothes. Literally 95% of this movie, and I believe I'm being generous, is women running around naked or with their dresses torn open, you know? And I guess it was because it was done in Italy. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe the director was upset. It's like, you made that movie, Patrick, PG in 1978. I'll show you a Patrick movie. And he decides to make it rated R, or practically rated X. If this was released today, NC-17 for sure. So finally, these people are showing up, and of course, they're shown around by the gorgeous assistant who helps them out and shows them around. Now, there's this one lady who has these dogs. She loves them, if not a little too much, but they don't show you anything like that. They just show moments where she's getting really close to them and everything. And this one guy comes up and he decides to look at them. Well, the dogs, if they see anyone else, just go crazy and start barking like mad. What does this have to do with the plot? Well, like many things for foreign ripoff movies, absolutely nothing at all. I mean, these things come in and they go, and they just kind of go away. It proves something at the end, but for the most part, for the story of what story there is, the dogs really serve no purpose. Now, when it comes to Patrick Lives, it will serve you well to remember the story, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Your standard horror slasher movie. A group of people come to an isolated area where they get killed off one by one. Oh, did I just give away the whole plot? Yes, I did. So here we go. With the guys, we start to meet them, and they try to establish some sort of character, some sort of story. They're all being blackmailed to come here, okay? Somebody knows their dirty little secret, and yet we're still very much in the dark about what the hell is going on. All right? I mean, this movie is so bad, it's making Yui Bowl look good, okay? Yui Bowl, all right? Let that sink in for a second. Okay, so moving right along, we have these 5 people who come to this villa to be on vacation, but they're all being blackmailed to come here. And there you learn that the politician, he didn't really get his position because he was smart or because he had good connections or anything. It becomes pretty clear that it was his wife's body that got him the reaction, who got him the position that he got in and everything. But everybody pretty much has got her number. They know what she's about. I mean, just to give you an idea, and believe me, this is Italy, so what I'm about to describe is no big deal. The first morning, everyone is out at the pool. The politician and his wife are hanging out. The drug dealer and his wife, though I don't think he was known to be a drug dealer then at that time, are hanging out. However, she is nude, okay? I mean, we're talking literally no clothes whatsoever, but this is like, Italy in the 1970s. What do you expect, right? I don't know if it was a big thing in Italy, but for some reason, when I think of Italy, I think, yeah, that's Italia for you. So anyway, and of course, the guy is swimming back and forth in the pool. Well, it takes us to like the second or third day if you can deal with the boredom of these people, trying to get to know them and quote unquote establishing, I don't know, character story bullshit. Because let me tell you something. Just to give you one big clue, their background stories mean absolutely nothing to this movie. Less than nothing to the movie. You could have filmed the movie exactly how it was, redub their lines as someone else, make them a garbage collector or something, and it would still be the exact same movie. Because it means absolutely nothing to this movie, who these people are or what these people have done. All right? Except for one thing. Okay, and here's going to be the big spoiler. After these people were brutally murdered, sometimes using mind control, sometimes using telekinesis, and after the lovely assistant, the blonde, who Patrick keeps bringing her into his room. Oh, ho, ho. I just realized something. I wanted to point out the movie mistake, okay? To be honest, it's not a movie mistake now that I think about it. It's somebody who just had to cheaply transplant this from Italy to America. Now, what am I even talking about? I'm sorry to digress, but here's the deal. I was watching this one scene, and I actually had to watch this scene 3 or 4 times because the blonde assistant is sitting at her desk. She has to type out the death report for the first person who died. Of all the things, Patrick somehow has the ability to boil water. So he boils this pool. He boils this guy in the pool. Of course, the guy, being Italian, was able to get out of the pool with his flesh all singed. The doctor who owns the villa looks at the corpse and said that it's due to alcohol consumption. That somehow his drinking caused his body and the piece of his body to explode in heat and cook him from the inside out because he drank so much alcohol. I don't know about you. I'm actually not a big alcohol drinker, but when's the last time you saw anyone explode from heat? Now obviously he knows he's making up for it. He's trying to cover up the real crime here, obviously. So that's not a surprise, all right? But the fact that he chose the dumbest explanation possible. It's like, guys, he's in a pool. Can't you just drown him? Does he really have to get boiled in a pool? Is Patrick really that powerful? If he's that powerful, why doesn't he just stand up and do something? Obviously, he can move his own body using telekinesis or something. But anyway, again, I digress. The part that I had to watch over and over again was the blonde assistant who wanted to type out the death report. But instead, Patrick takes over the typewriter and typed out, "I'm waiting for you." Now, it's very important you understand those letters. I'm waiting for you. Because if you watch the scene, you'll notice he's not typing those letters. Big movie mistake, right? Well, no, that's not right. Now, I don't know how to spell in Italian, but obviously, when she first brought up the letter, it said in Italian, "I'm waiting for you." I just realized that mistake. Okay, but you get the idea. Patrick, Patrick gets a bad rap, just so you know. Patrick is always two stories. One is the horror slasher, I'm going to kill all these people with my mind type of movie, while he's comatose. But the other is that Patrick wants love. Now again, I cannot comment on the first 1978 version. I haven't seen that version. But I did see Patrick Evil Awakens, and I did see Patrick Still Lives. In both movies, Patrick has this love interest. Somebody he really wants to... Well, no, it's not a love interest. It's a sex interest. He just wants to get laid by this person. Can't really blame him. Woman's very hot. That said, it's kind of hard to woo a woman when you're a vegetable. I mean, a literal vegetable. Supposedly. You see, in the first movie, I'm not sure what happened, but Patrick was a psycho kid. He had mommy issues. Kills his mommy and her lover in a bathtub. Okay? And then kills himself as well. Or tries to kill himself. Gets brought back as a comatose. Somehow gets these powers. Patrick Evil Awakens. Same thing. Okay? Mom and has a lover, tries to kill him, somehow gets but he gets these powers because the doctor is experimenting on him. That's the 2013 version. Here, and believe me, I am being deadly serious, I am not making this up, okay? Here, Patrick's brain is wired to 3 other comatose people, and that wiring gives his powers a boost. That's why Patrick's able to do these things. It's not because he alone can do these things. It's because he's wired up to 3 other people. And again, I wish I was making this up. I am not making this up. Excuse me. So, you have, and according to the IMDb message board, I mean, not message board, but the IMDb description, there are 3 hardened criminals. How these criminals came to be here, I do not know. But they don't explain it. They don't even call them criminals in the movies. You just assume that Patrick gets his power from 3 other comatose people, and that's why he's able to boost his powers. And, you know, in a way, it makes sense when you think about it. Because here's Patrick. Alone, he doesn't have the power. But his body can't move because that water bottle that hit him in the face must have done something to his neck or something? I don't know. Anyway, so he gets this boost from the other people. In case you haven't figured this out yet, and believe me, if you're still with me, may God have mercy on your soul. I do appreciate it. You shouldn't really be here for all this craziness. But the point is, at the end of the movie, they finally reveal that somehow, some way, the guy was able to get like the license plate or the description of the car and figured out that the 6 suspects that are at this villa right now are the only possible people that could do it, and he's not going to find out who actually did it. He's just going to kill them all just so that justice might be served. You know, just kill 5 innocent people just to kill the one guilty person. But wait, if you've been listening to this carefully and doing the math, something's not adding up. 2 couples come in, 4, and 1 extra guy comes in. 5 people. But why are there 6? Well, it turns out the blonde assistant, Patrick's object of affection, and that's stretching it, the one who actually has been brought into Patrick's 5 different times, or 4 different times. First she comes in, the doctor catches her and says, "You're not allowed to be here, don't ever come here again." Second time she runs in, she sees Patrick for the first time, bumps into the chair, freaks out and leaves. So obviously, Patrick is controlling her. Secondly, I guess they finally have the sex session. You know, that part where, you ever have one of those movies where the woman is making love to the invisible man? Yeah, like that. Okay. But she was number 6. Now here comes the dilemma. Patrick should kill her. That's the whole point of this whole ruse, was to kill these 5 people. Patrick even kills the maid for whatever reasons, you know. And of course, just to show you how dumb this movie is, the maid runs into the barn to get away from her dogs who are there to kill her for, again, reasons. She leans up against a ladder. Now, I don't know how well trained these dogs are, but something tells me they don't climb ladders. And in very bad special effects, the dogs come up and you can tell they're not really biting her. But you know what? I'd be scared. Those dogs do put their mouths around her body parts. Legs and arms, sickos. But you get the idea. And then they, you know, move it forward to show like, oh my God, they're eating her. You know, they're eating her alive and stuff like that. Again, killed for no reason. But then again, Patrick just starts killing, and that's what this thing is about. There's a lot that's not explained, and there's a lot that's not going on. And Patrick, at the end, does not want to kill that blonde lady. But when her father does, Patrick decides to kill him. Wow. Yeah. And again, like I said, it's pure Euro sleaze. It's pure, this, you know, just bad thing. I will say one thing else about Patrick, Evil Still Lives, is you have never seen a movie where so many women literally throw themselves at the guys and not a single guy goes for it. You know? No, don't get me wrong. This is the one part they do explain. These women aren't exactly the classiest high society women. They're hot. Believe me, you know, 1970s hot. Even today's standards, hot. But these women are really also just, you know, trashy women. And these guys really weren't in the mood at the time, which I have to admit, I give them their chops for that, you know. If this movie had had a sex scene, maybe even a lesbian subplot, it might have given it some kind of redemption. But there was no sex, just women flashing their bodies like crazy and getting killed in the most generic fashion you can imagine, in a way that makes you go, just how dumb do these people think we are, you know? I mean, this was 1980. Now, granted, this is around the time of, you know, Friday the 13th. It still hadn't come out yet, from what I understand. And even if it did come out, this was made in Italy, that was made in America. different places, you know. So, from what I understand, in Italy, the movie did really well. Here, it was treated as trash, and people were afraid to show it, I'm sure. Who knows what happened 36 years ago? 36 years ago? Wow. Anyway, the point is, Patrick Still Lives is a movie you should avoid at all cost. If you really want to see the nudity, just look up the movie on Google, search images, and you will see the pictures that I am talking about, okay? This is a movie that if you were ever see it crossing the street, then you should cross the street, shoot the movie, and go on your merry way. Or push this movie out in front of a car. That's the only justice that can really be done. It's long. It's pointless. It doesn't make any sense. It has very little to do with how movies are made today. If you will go to a film school, watch this movie. And always remember to learn what not to do from watching this movie. That is Patrick Lives. Alright guys, that's it for me for today. We will see you at the theaters.